Hey everyone, Tides here, and we are going to do a reaction video to the latest interview with Ian Hazzikostas, and this is for their video interview titled Everything You Need to Know About the War Within. Alright, without further ado, let's go ahead and begin the video.
Hey everyone, welcome to Wowcast. Today we're going to talk about The War Within, which alpha starts soon. I have two special guests with me today.
Yes,
Please introduce
alpha.
yourselves.
Hi, I'm Ian, Game Director on WoW.
I'm Tina, Associate Art Director on WoW.
Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Before we talk
And I'm Tides.
about alpha, what can you summarize about The War Within, Ian?
Well, so The War Within, of course, it is the 10th expansion to well-known video game World of Warcraft. But even, I think, more special to us, it's the beginning of the World Soul Saga. It's the beginning of probably the most ambitious story we've ever tried to tell in WoW. So as all expansions do, it kicks off with a journey to a new place. But really, this is going to be beginning to set the stage and establish the stakes for a conflict that threatens not just ourselves and our families and those we hold dear, but the very world that we call home, the very world beneath our feet that's been home to all of our adventures. And if we don't win this one, nothing else matters.
So this character has been everywhere for The War Within. Zealot.
Okay, just pause real quickly. I want to point out that that they've got the War Within. What is that? I think that's art books that are on the coffee table. But more importantly, they've got the Griffin Rider statue. It's got a dwarven warrior on top of a griffin. And this is included in the limited edition, the collector's edition of The War Within. So I can't wait to get that. I just pre-ordered that today. All right, let's get back to the video.
She's purple, she's amazing. Can you tell us more about her?
Yeah, Xal'atath is, one of our key villains of the World Soul Saga. The expansion is, part of it is this journey, delving deeper, find Xal'atath and her allies. And the inspiration for her design from an art side was really based on the priest artifact weapon that she had been trapped in for so long. So if you look at her armor, all
That's
the motifs,
cool.
her belt, her shoulders, really take inspiration from that design. Even the runes on her cheeks.
Oh,
Those
nice.
are
What a time to be a
homage to
priest,
N'Zoth,
especially
the
a void
flavor
elf
from
priest.
the dagger.
Naifu.
So if later on in War Within you find yourself, wiping to a raid somewhere, just blame the Shadow Priests for not just putting the knife down,
Yeah, why didn't
walk
they
away
put
from the
that-
talking dagger, and we wouldn't be here.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yet,
Are there any other familiar faces that we can recognize?
Yeah, some of the key heroes of our story are Illyria and Anduin. So these two,
Anduin!
They're running a bit, right, from some of the wounds of their
Manduin!
past. But in the end, they're going to find hope and redemption. So, Illyria, we've seen her new design that really reflects the duality of her character. And
Wow.
Anduin, we saw him in our cinematic, and he just looks, a little more haggard. He's been through a lot lately.
He grew his beard.
Yeah,
He's working on it.
yeah, the name The War Within is one that has a couple of layers to it, right? Obviously, we're literally delving beneath the surface of Azeroth and going to be battling within our world. But this is also a story that involves a lot of inner turmoil and inner conflict. And Anduin.
So just a little note on that. I feel like Zarelek Caverns was their way of testing the waters, feeling the waters for implementing this whole world within Azeroth, the planet.
Is probably the most torn of any of our cast of heroes, given what he went through in the Shadowlands. And his journey into the darkness as he seeks to rediscover his own light is a big
Arthas!
part of the narrative arc.
Dying as a
And
wisp.
with The War Within, there's
like
new zones. Can we
creature.
talk about what our new zones are going to be?
The continent as a whole that begins on the surface and extends beneath the earth, right, we're calling Khazalgar. This is an ancient home to the Earthen. It's actually just off the west coast of Pandaria, about between Pandaria and Kalimdor. Just a couple hundred nautical miles away from a certain sword that's sticking out of the southern end of Kalimdor. But yes, home to 4 zones with amazing, varied settings.
Yeah, so our first zone, the Isle of Dorn. This is basically, you'll find an isolated group of
The Isle of Dorn, isn't that a place in, what is it, A Song of Ice and Fire? Game of Thrones fans?
Earthen there. And so they have their awesome city, Dornovar, which we're
Whoa!
excited for players to check out. That'll be the hub in the end. The second zone is the ringing deeps, so the evocative of like mine pits, industry, and so this is the heart of earthen industry. But it's not all just lava and fire. It's mixed with these beautiful caverns, cenotes with light and water coming.
I see they've been reusing a lot of old NPC models. So earlier I saw some snails from Zeralek Caverns. That's from, of course, Dragonflight expansion. And right here you see a Genosaur. I think that's what they were called. These massive centaur creature-like creatures. Genosaur, I believe they were first implemented in Warlords of Draenor expansion.
In creating these lush spaces for the players to enjoy. And then we go to Howlafall. Howlafall is where we really wanted to break expectations.
Beautiful.
This is Arathi airships.
Right, underground airships, right? The first thing you naturally think of when you're going under the surface. How are they going to get around? Well, airships, of course.
Of course.
And then our final zone is Azj-Kahet. So this is the heart of the Nerubian Empire. This is where we'll finally be able to see the Nerubians and all of their strength.
Glad to see a comeback for the Nerubian Empire.
I think we'll get
last time they had a say in
later,
anything was in the Lich King expansion
in the Isle of Dorn. But I really can't wait until we get to Howlafall in our testing. I think Tina mentioned that this crystal, it is such a striking visual element that dominates the zone. Imagine in this place deep within the earth, a radiant crystal of light, and the way, as it illuminates the surroundings, that actually plays with the environment and some of the spawns and how the world around it reacts to it. I think when we set out to create this underground space, we knew that one of the risks was that it could feel oppressive, that people didn't want to feel the sense of claustrophobia, of you're always in caves. Howlafall really from the outset was built to be a place where, honestly, unless you fly all the way up to check out the ceiling above you, it doesn't feel underground. It feels like you can be outdoors in some vast, welcoming area it's incredibly epic.
I mean, call back to Deepholm from Cataclysm expansion, that zone, that whole underground crystal zone in that expansion. I never felt claustrophobic down there, so I don't see why Ian is pointing out some concern. I mean, they obviously did a great job in Cataclysm with the Deepholm zone.
When we arrive to the Isle of Dorn, what's the first thing we'll see?
Well, so you're going to see something a bit different in Alpha from when the expansion goes live. There is an expansion intro experience that is not currently being tested. It's something that has some cool narrative elements that we want players to all experience together later in the year when War Within launches. But players will spawn in the Alpha on the Isle of Dorn, surrounded by some debris that will look pretty familiar and pretty distinctive, and really is the scars of an initial battle.
Looks like Dalaran.
Seems like it didn't end so well. And the beginning of our journey, as with many expansions, is a bit of a mystery, a bit of an investigation of arriving in a strange land, having this threat that we face, these visions, these whispers that heroes around Azeroth have been hearing in recent months, but trying to understand the nature of the threat we face, how we're going to stop it, and our journey begins.
Oh, they look so cool, the Earthen!
These ancient Earthen people who are going to begin.
I like their little mining helmets with the.
Where to go next.
Looks like they're using like a crystal light source
too, right?
Yes.
Once we earn their trust, that's for sure.
Is there any other NPCs that we're going to
bearded women?
Yeah, there are going to be some characters that we haven't seen in World of Warcraft in a while, but will be, part of this story.
Really quick pause. Honestly, admittedly, I was really not looking forward to the Earthen as an allied race. I think they're going to be, or playable race, because it seems both Horde and Alliance will be able to play them. I didn't like the idea that Horde can play them, but I think my opinion can be swayed. We're about to find out.
That's because of their, dwarven heritage. And,
Magni Bronzebeard. Remember in when was it? Pretty sure it was Warlords of Draenor, or was it Legion? No, I think it was Battle for Azeroth. He became the speaker for Azeroth, and he became this crystal thing. I think Battle for Azeroth was when we played a major role as the speaker for Azeroth, but he was crystal even before that. But this new appearance, while I do miss his more brilliant luster, appearance, like all diamond. This one is a bit more toned down. It's a bit more stoic. I think I do like this look.
Magni, he hears the Radiant Song. He brings some of his family members along. Moira,
Oh,
who is
Moira looks
leader of the Dark
cool.
Iron Dwarves and heir to Iron.
Okay, sorry, I had to pause there, but Moira looks a lot more shaman here. I mean, she's a priest. I'm pretty sure Moira Thorison is a priest, but look at this. She's rocking a shaman look. It's like very elemental. I wonder if that has anything to do with her story going forward in The War Within.
Moira, who is leader of the Dark Iron Dwarves and heir to Ironforge. She'll be here with her son, Dagran, who is now a young adult. Dagran,
That's her son. Oh my god. If you guys remember from Ironforge in the throne room with Moira and the other two council leaders, the Council of Three, her baby Dagran. Oh my god, he's all grown up now. He used to be a little bun, like a little bread bun in his little not casket, whatever that thing's called, his little bed, his cradle. Now he's a grown up bread bun boy, but he looks super smart and intelligent.
last time we saw him in game, he was this pretty generic-looking dwarven baby. But
Yes.
now, the Dark Iron heritage is starting to show more in his
Dark
appearance,
Iron.
along with his personality. So he has a bunch of these scrolls and books, like really showing that he has a very scholarly nature.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the fun aspects of just world building and narrative in WoW is we have this vast array of characters and champions and heroes and backup characters. And whenever we figure out where we're going, what the next natural location is, what the story elements are, the first question we ask is, who needs to be here? Who does it make sense to have answer this call, want to step forward? Just as when we were dealing with the Green Dragonflight or the Emerald Dream or the like, okay, this is time for Malfurion and Tyrande to step forward. Now that we're going to this ancestral homeland of the Earthen with this ancient connection to the dwarven legacy of Azeroth, this is a time for our dwarves to take center stage.
I hope they
All right,
revamp
so let's talk about
Ironforge.
the 8 new dungeons in the War Within.
That'd
What are
be
your guys'
nice.
favorites? or
All the
favorite ones
capital
you wanna talk
cities, actually.
Well, so one that's fun to talk about is actually probably the first dungeon the players are going to see in their journeys, and it's going to be tested early on in the alpha. This is the Rookery dungeon in the Isle of Dorn. The Rookery is the place where the Storm Griffins were raised and trained by the ancient Earthen over the centuries. Dwarves and Griffins go hand in hand, and the Earthen have a legacy of Storm Riders that we
She
got
looks
to see a little
cool.
sneak peek of. If you got the War Within Heroic Edition, you might have been flying around on that guy. There's plenty more where that came from in the Isle of Dorn. And this dungeon, of course, is not all peaceful. It's been
pure-looking
overrun by
Storm
a
Griffin
group
looks
of corrupted
awesome.
Earthen known as the Skardan. And we're going to be beginning to
Whoa,
understand where they came from
badass.
and what their nature is as we fight through it. But one cool thing about this dungeon
like that
is that
mace.
it's actually part of the main campaign as you play through Isle of Dorn. Now, I know some people are instantly saying, wait a minute, I don't like doing dungeons, I just like solo questing, that's terrible.
What?
Well,
I
fortunately,
love dungeons.
in 10.2.5, towards the end of Dragonflight, we introduced this feature called Follower Dungeons. And we're really happy to bring that to the level up dungeons in War Within right from the outset, so that you can go in solo with NPC allies as you play through the dungeon if that's what you prefer.
Not
Or,
too
of
bad a
course, you can
feature.
just
I've tried
queue
it
up
out.
with friends or random group mates through the group finder. But what this lets us do is, where appropriate, we can really have the story flow directly through dungeons in a way that we couldn't in the past, and in ways that at times was frankly awkward, because sometimes major villains die in dungeons. Dungeons are places of great importance in a zone, but we couldn't really tie them directly into the questing because we didn't want to create an obstacle for players who really just prefer to keep playing solo.
Tina, is
That's
there
true.
any that you
Valid, very
One of my
valid point.
favorites is in Hallowfall. So it's called the Priory of the Sacred Flame, and it's this Erethdor monastery. So one of the coolest parts is the final boss room.
She is so
There's
cute.
this giant window that frames the crystal that is embedded in the ceiling of
Nice.
Hallowfall.
Very
And
nice
I love,
design,
the
Blizzard.
beauty of the room, as well as just how it ties in with the narrative of the story as a whole. And another really cool one, it's the City of Threads. So
She is
this
so
one
cute and
is
soft-spoken.
underneath the Nerubian city proper, and so it's really
Wow.
interesting to see the ancient civilization
Oh, look at
that the
those, the
newer
little white
civilization was built
Nerubian
on top
scarabs.
of,
They
and
look
just
cool
to think
too.
about the layers of Nerubian history that is in this land.
Is it that the ancient civilization back in like Lich King?
Even far before
Oh,
that.
it's even farther before that?
Yeah, the
Wow.
Nerubians. I think we might think of them as monstrous or arachnid. They are one of the great powers, one of the great advanced civilizations of Azeroth. Right up there with
Wow.
the elves and trolls and the others that helped shape the course of the world's history. We've only really seen hints of them going back to Wrath. If you ran the Azrael Narub or Ankahet dungeons, you could see their buildings off in the background.
I remember
But,
those
they
all
were
too well.
a civilization that at its height rivaled the High Elves and the Nightborn on the surface.
That's insane.
They were able to go toe-to-toe with the Lich King's armies and win until the Old Gods and their forces on another flank eventually led to the Nerubians being overwhelmed. But really being able to explore what they're all about is one of the things we're most excited about when it comes to War Within.
One of the things we're excited to bring is an arachnophobia filter, if you will.
I
For
saw
all
this
of
on
you out
Wowhead.
there
Oh my
who,
God.
could never, go to that spider section in Nax, you'll be able to turn on arachnophobia filter, and
Wow.
all spider beasts will turn into crabs. So very pumped about that.
Yeah, it actually looks it works way better than you might think just hearing that sentence. I can't wait.
Pause. Look at that new
Actually,
look at
looks
this new mob.
it-
Right here, right here. Look at this mob right here. I don't know what that is. That's a new creature. I mean, it seems like it's Nerubian, but then when they put on the filter, these two Nerubian arachnids turned into the crabs, but this didn't. So this tells me it's not actually Nerubian. So what could it be? I mean, at first glance, it kind of reminds me of the Quillbore. Do you guys remember the Quillbore from the Baron Zone? OG classic WoW, the Quillbore. Look, they're kind of like hunchback. They're kind of fat. They kind of remind me of the Quillbore, and this huge mane on their back that screams Quillbore to me. But there's some new mob that's affiliated with the Nerubians.
works way better than you might think just hearing that sentence. I can't wait for players to be able to jump in, turn it on, and hopefully feel more comfortable in parts of our world. This is something that when we announced the Nerubian-centric themes of War Within at BlizzCon, we heard trepidation from portions of our community who love WoW, but were worried they weren't going to be able to experience it. Honestly, prior to that, it's something we heard concerns about from within our own team, where there are, people who genuinely felt uncomfortable with these elements of the game that we were building together. And so we set out to
I think it's actually funny they're spending a whole, 3-4 minutes talking about people's arachnophobia preventing them from playing WoW. I just find that funny.
try to find a solution that would still, preserve the fidelity of the game, but really make it more approachable, more accessible to everyone.
So speaking of the Nerubians, once we reach level 80, we're going to go to the new raid, Nerbopralis. Is there anything you want to speak about that?
Yeah, this raid is epic in so many ways.
Wow, the first
one
raid.
of the coolest parts is there's this beautiful showpiece
Wow.
that is just in front of the Queen's palace.
Whoa.
It represents the Nerubian race, and it just shows how highly Queen Ansrek thinks of her people and herself.
Pause. Anyone remember from Mists of Pandaria expansion, the raid Heart of Fear, where we had those Klaxi? Remember the Klaxi insectoid race? They were really cool. This kind of reminds me of that. Like Nerubian and the Klaxis, they kind of give me like old god vibes as well.
This raid, you'll get one of the sections of the raid. You'll get to check out her innermost sanctum. This is where
Whoa.
only VIPs for the Nerubians get to go, and you really get to explore the dark
Nice.
elegance of her palace.
I think, again, as we were just saying, the Nerubians, we need to remember they're an advanced race, very, just this epic civilization. I think there's some parallels probably to going back to the Nightborn in Suramar and what going into that city and that palace felt like. We really want to
I
show
loved Suramar.
the sophistication here. This is not a monstrous supervillain lair.
That's a pretty big
This
statue.
is,
I hope that's the
a
actual size of the
superpower
statue that
Azeroth
I got with the
that we find
collector's edition
ourselves,
for War Within.
facing off
I
against.
really hope so.
But yeah, the Queen Ansarek encounter that Tina mentioned, she's going to be the end boss of sort of the initial season, the initial raid tier. The encounter team is hard at work on this one. I can't wait to see it tested later on in beta. This is, the whole room is really purpose built to showcase some vertical elements, and it's just an incredible set piece. but we want to, as always, integrate the environment wherever possible into our encounters. So you're facing off against both, a very powerful magical user, but also someone who is arachnid in nature. And how do we kind of deliver parts of the fantasy of, scaling a web while locked in combat against the queen?
Is anyone reminded of the spider boss fight in what was it? Firelands from Cataclysm expansion. Oh my god, that fight was so awesome, where you had to climb the spider web to go up top. Some people you had to send up there and kill the ads and then come back down to the ground. Oh, so cool. I wish we had more of that. That's so cool.
Queen. Those are the things that we're currently exploring. Can't wait to see that up for testing.
Does that mean we're gonna get tier sets again?
Certainly. I think last time we tried taking them away, I recall torches and pitchforks in the street. New tier means new tier sets.
Wow! Oh my god, what is this? This is new. I mean, it's got to be new, right? This is not old stuff. This looks for sure new. Let's scroll back a little.
Tried taking them away. I recall torches and pitchforks.
Okay, stop. So this one, what is this? What does this look like to you? I'm gonna have to say Paladin. I want to say Priest because that's like your number one go-to assumption, but, Blizzard kind of has a way of every now and then throwing you off. So I will say that's Paladin. This one over here, Shaman for sure. The next one, Warrior. Warriors are always very dragon-esque. It could be Death Knight, but I'm pretty sure that's Warrior. Could be Hunter, but looking at that screams Warrior. So let's just say, I could be wrong. Let's say the first one I'll say is Paladin. Next one is Shaman. Next one, Warrior.
Street. New tier means new tier sets. And
this next one could be either Shaman or Hunter, but I'm going to say Hunter. I'm going to say that's Hunter.
You can get them from a wide array of activities.
See if I'm right.
You're a Raider, Mythic Plus player, or an Outdoor World player, which includes, now, Delves.
Delves! Delves seem cool.
Let's start talking about Delves.
Yeah, I mean, Delves are one of the major new features in War Within, and I think we're really excited to offer a more structured, progression-oriented extension.
I believe Delves could be solo player, but up to 3 players. No class restriction. Like you don't need a tank, you don't need a healer, you don't need DPS.
Into all of our zones, where you can have these localized, varied adventures alongside in the first season, Bran Bronzebeard, either on your own or with friends. And finally, get a shot at some end-game epic rewards just through an extension of the Outdoor World ecosystem.
That's neat.
Yeah, we'll be able to get it from the Great Vault, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ooh, Great Vault, yes!
So one of our goals with building
I love the new Great Vault. Actually, it looks cool.
They adventured, came across a place, and could just, go in and see what's inside. When you walk up to the delve, there's this, dark, misty door, and you click on it, and then it just disappears, and you just walk into your own personal delve instance. So very excited about that.
I mean, players are going to have that first experience on the Isle of Dorn early in the alpha. The first delve they're likely to encounter is Earthcrawl Mines. You're going to encounter your good friend Bran Bronzebeard outside an ancient earthen mine that has been overrun with Nerubians who are burrowing up from the depths. Bran will ask you if you want him to outfit himself as a healer or as a damage dealer to help support you. And you'll venture in and have your very first delve experience. You'll be able to choose whether you want to do it on Tier 1 or Tier 2 difficulty. Tier 1 is kind of the default. This is for everyone experience. Tier 2 is for those who want to opt into a bit more of a challenge because that's what they enjoy. There will be higher tiers that can be unlocked at max level as part of the in-game seasonal progression. And we really just can't wait to get player feedback from the outset, really all through alpha, on this new system.
I wonder if it's going to be like miniature Torghast runs.
And whether we can really meet everyone's expectations, from people who just want a casual romp as an extension of their Outdoor World experience to those who want a solo progression challenge that they can really overcome.
Like bring back Torghast
feedback is going to really help
difficulty.
shape how this evolves, but we're so excited about Delves as a central part of War Within.
Yeah, I'm excited that we're going to be able to just jump in and go solo with Bran, or you can have friends, but also just get rewards in that way, especially the tier sets with the Catalyst, and then that really cool mechanical mount.
Yes.
We get our own personal mechanical mount that you can update or fully customize.
Get a sense of the
it's kind of like the dragon riding. You have to unlock
of that. We're going to give you this epic customizable mount.
Whoa.
Kind of the successor to the customizable drakes you had in Dragon Isles.
Wow.
You'll be able to, through doing
I like that look.
Earn a variety of different customizations and attachments that you can mix and match to really create your own personalized
Whoa.
So does this mechanical mount have dynamic flying?
this is one of the big questions we had moving on
Looks
from
like it.
Dragonflight. We had the question of like, well, okay, dragon riding is amazing. We can't get rid of this. But how is this going to work alongside of the hundreds of mounts that we already have in players' collections? And how, from a design perspective, how do we navigate a world where some mounts can fly in this awesome way and others can only do the old quote-unquote static
Are they going to
flight?
give dragon flying to
Fortunately,
everything?
I think our art team was able to work out an amazing solution for us.
Fire bee.
Yeah, we were very excited to be able to make
Wow,
pretty much
I like
all
that
mounts
one.
be able to
That-
dynamically fly. So even Nimrod's
Yes!
head in, we figured it out. We made it work. So
I'm really excited to see Nimrod's head going
Nice.
like super fast.
Nice.
Another feature coming in the War Within that I'm really excited about, as well as a lot of other people, is warbands.
Yeah, warbands.
Yes,
I mean,
warbands!
Again, I think as I summarized it at BlizzCon, it's just account-wide everything, almost everything.
Yes!
It-
Come
this,
on,
you know,
for
players
reputation,
increasingly
please.
Play multiple characters, and this is something we've heard loud
And
and
for
clear
Transmog
that, you know, the
Collection.
game needs to
That's
be more alt-friendly.
main
that
thing I
players
want.
to be able to choose where they spend their time across their different characters instead of feeling like they have to reprogress everything individually.
Also, side note, that'd be cool if your warbands could be allowing you to go into follower dungeons or whatever, but have your warband characters be your buddies in there instead.
And so, yeah, the warband is just, it is your account in its entirety. It is your collection of champions, whether they're Horde or Alliance, regardless of what realm they're on, they're all part of the same warband, which gives access to various shared progression systems.
25k for a
and then you get
warband
to see
bank?
all of
Dang.
your favorites on, one screen together.
Ooh,
in our
Alliance and
new
Horde
UI,
together?
We'll have
What?
warbands, and you'll be able to be like, move 4 up into that space and see them all hanging out around a campfire.
Cool.
Is that on the character select screen?
Yeah, the character select
Oh,
screen.
cool.
Yeah.
That's going to be totally different
Yes.
than what we're used to logging in.
Exactly,
Mm-hmm.
yes. You'll know, like, this is a completely different world. It's a completely different welcome into
Nice.
World of Warcraft. What we showed off at BlizzCon was just actually a UI mock-up, but
Mm-hmm.
we're excited to see people react to the real thing. Really, as with
Yeah.
everything else, warbands are a foundation. This is a system that we want to build the next generations of World of Warcraft on. In 2004, WoW launched with everything character-based. In 2024, WoW is going to shift to everything being account-based. And
Yes.
we can't wait to hear feedback about what other areas we can expand upon here, and that's going to shape not just War Within,
The
but
Guild
later
Bank.
updates and
Definitely
expansions.
expand on the
And
Guild
we're just,
Bank.
just excited about this platform that better reflects the way our players are looking to play World of Warcraft today.
You can't forget about PvP. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So we have a new battleground called the Deep
Just
Hall. This one is earthen themed. It's a bit of a mashup between Silver Shard Mines and
That's
Araki
what it reminded me
Basin.
of from
so, hold
Cataclysm,
some
Silver Shard
points,
Mines.
push some carts. We're really excited to see how players navigate around this
Ooh,
one.
pretty.
Yeah, and in terms of how players are interacting with it, there is an overhaul to our rated battleground system that is coming with War Within. People who've been paying attention over the course of Dragonflight have checked out our Battleground Blitz, our kind of brawl that was testing out a 8v8 solo queue rated battleground format. We're happy to move to that as a default for how rated battlegrounds are going to work going forward. I think we're really excited to make that battleground experience that personally I've always felt is the best part of WoW PvP, the larger scale, more cooperative, objective-based, collaborative, competitive setting as opposed to the deathmatch style in Arena, to make that more accessible to everyone who loves Battlegrounds, loves PvP. We know, it's a bit overdue, honestly, us adding a new battleground.
They need to
map
make
into the rotation,
noob-friendly
and we're
battlegrounds
excited
for
to do
people
more
just
of this
starting
going
out in
forward. We're
PvP,
excited to have a
I
new
think.
framework that can make battlegrounds more central to the end game rewarding part of PvP. And yeah, this is just the beginning of a new chapter.
Another feature in the War Within is hero talents. We've been having a lot of articles talking about them. What are some of the other
Too much
things that we
hype
can
over
expect with
hero
the
talents.
coming forward?
I'm going to
Well, I
keep
can
my
say there's gonna be
expectations
no more blogs and
low.
articles releasing hero talents because they'll be there for you to jump in and play. And I think that's the most exciting thing. We're so grateful to the community for all of the feedback and discussion in recent months, going back to the first blog in December. This really helped us shape this central feature of how people's class gameplay is going to evolve. You're going to see hero talents that you haven't yet seen for the trees that we haven't discussed previously. And for many of the ones that we have released, you'll log in and see changes that are directly shaped by your feedback,
Diabolist.
by what we heard loud and clear.
Whoa,
in some
what is
cases,
that?
about what was and wasn't exciting. We've committed to have as many of these
Scale,
playable right from
Commander.
the outset as possible. We will have 100% of the hero talent trees
Whoa,
available
looks like
and
they go
playable
longer.
not long into
Further.
alpha.
Templar!
And the rest of the journey is going to be about iteration, tuning, and really just dialing it all in
Frostfire.
to make the polished experience that everyone is excited about.
So what are we doing with professions in the War Within?
I think when we really overhauled professions in Dragonflight, we saw that as a kind of a permanent shift in how professions were going to work going
They didn't
forward.
even talk much
So you
about
could
hero
expect, you know,
talents.
new recipes, different enchants, but the same fundamental sort of progression and structure to professions that you saw in Dragonflight. One big piece of feedback that we heard throughout Dragonflight, though, was a bit of frustration with the work order system from crafters. who were
Yes,
just looking
too
to complete
complicated.
quests, looking to skill up, but found themselves competing and often racing to grab work orders with their fellow crafters. So what we're excited to offer is a baseline availability of basically NPC crafting orders. So it could be, you know, Earthen in Isle of Dorn who need a hammer made or need a helmet made, and they're constantly putting their work orders up onto the market, so there's always something for you to grab. The player ones will still be more lucrative, but there should always be that baseline availability if you just want to skill up, you just want to practice your trade skill. And there's also some cool potential for narrative tie-ins, the ability to have quests that now can point you towards that system because we can count on it always being there.
So with Dragonflight and the profession overhaul, there was also a UI overhaul. Is there anything we're going to see with the War Within?
Yeah,
Okay,
so the
let's
UI
talk
overhaul
UI. I
is
love
basically
UI.
a continued improvements that we want to make over time.
Yes.
One of the things that I'm very excited about is the quest bank overhaul. So we're going to have a bunch of new icons that
Cool.
will make what type of quest
Oh,
it is
daily
much more
quests.
clear. One of
Okay.
the new ones that you'll see is one that's like we consider an important one.
Oh, the
These
purple
aren't
is
campaign,
important
but they're pretty
then.
important to
Campaign
your
quests.
character. For instance,
Nice.
some that must-do ones for your profession, or ones where you're gonna unlock the revival catalyst.
Yeah, I think as we've leaned more and more into outdoor world gameplay and varied gameplay there, different types of public events over the course of Dragonflight, honestly, we reached a point about halfway through Dragonflight where we just took a look at our map and kind of recoiled in horror at the number of different icons that were there. It was just a kind of
Yes,
icon
that's true.
soup situation that made us say, like,
Icon
it's
soup.
kind of at this point, we've advanced far past the world of, oh, you just have some daily quests or world quests here. We need a clearer visual language. And so really excited to just evolve that central interface that players use to log in and see what there is to do in WoW on a given day.
So that covers the War Within, and the alpha is starting extremely soon.
Pretty much working on getting it stood up as we speak, as we sit here right now. And yeah, so the way this is going to work is pretty similar to the Dragonflight Alpha for those who followed that, where really each week, each new build that we release, we're focusing on a different piece of War Within to concentrate player feedback and our attention to just really get all that feedback in and maximize the quality. So we're going to start off zone by zone, level band by level band. This first week is going to be the Isle of Dorn, level 70 to 73 or so, the dungeon and delves there, as well as universal systems like hero talents. With successive alpha builds, we'll move on to other zones, other portions of War Within, inviting more waves of people. If you haven't gone to the website to opt in yet, that's a great reminder to do so.
Opt in, guys, opt in.
There's no secret to it. We're just randomly pulling lots of folks in and hope to get, by the end of this, countless people into our testing. Once we've gotten through all of those rounds of focus testing, we'll move into our beta phase, which really is an end-to-end holistic test of War Within from 70 all the way to 80 and the end game and beyond.
Dang.
And throughout, feedback, bug reports, suggestions, all of this is instrumental to helping turn what we have now into the finished product that we want to be the best it possibly can be for all of our players later this year.
Thank you so much for joining me for the War Within.
And thank you for joining us for this. Really, this is one of the most exciting times ever for the development team, when we get to pull back the curtain and welcome you all into this world that we've been building in the last few years. So can't wait to see you in the alpha, can't wait to hear all of your feedback.
She kind of looks like Hazelnutty, or whatever her name is on YouTube, the WowTuber.
Really looking forward to everyone checking out what we built. Thank you so much.
See you guys in the alpha.
I feel like they put that soft-spoken, cute Asian girl there so that they don't get a lot of hate, just to dampen the hate. Let's go to a part that looks cool. Oh, bearded woman, I don't know about cool. Let's go to Zelatath. She was looking cool. Yeah, Zelatath. All right, so I'm pretty happy about that developer interview. I'm glad that they put this out just before the alpha, so they're at least telling the players, you know what, we're open to your ideas and your reactions. So I do like that. I'd say out of the whole thing, what I'm most looking forward to are the delve, the new delve feature, and the warband feature. Um, Delve, I really hope that they bring in. I don't know if anyone remembers the from the uh, Battle for Azeroth expansion. Remember, we had the horrific vision of Stormwind and horrific vision of Orgrimmar. And then that led into the next expansion, which was the Shadowlands and the Torghast. I really hope they find a good balance between the two and bring some of those features into the Delves, because Delves looks fun. I mean, I really hope they do that because there's a lot of players who are very much solo players. They don't often partake in like group activity. In my case, I'm kind of like that, especially on work nights or weekdays. Whereas on the weekends, I spend more of my time with the guildies. I feel like the Delves, this is their opportunity to cater more to the solo players. So I really hope they, even though they allow group content in there as well, I hope they perfect um, the best from like the Torghast and the Horrific Visions uh, game content. And as for warbands, I really hope they do their best in making us happy, especially us transmogrification people who like to transmog their gear. I really hope they stick to their word and make transmog collection a lot more easier through the warbands. And please, Blizzard, do not try and cheat us out of the reputation. I'd like account bound reputation, because you can see even in the interview, Ian said they try and keep it like realistic. Not so much. It sounded like they weren't going to give us everything account bound, especially like reputation. I hope they do. I hope they do, because these days people don't have much time to grind reputation as they did back in the day in classic OG World of Warcraft. All right. Well, thank you for watching this with me, and I hope you enjoyed this reaction video. If you'd like to see more of this type of content, uh, do feel free to visit my channel. Hit me with a subscribe. I do appreciate that.